According to CDC estimates, 1.6 to 3.8 million sports and recreation-related concussions occur each year. Also, 10% of all contact sport athletes sustain concussions yearly. Concussions can affect your brain in a big way for your long-term health. So if you get multiple, it's very important to take this seriously. As concussions continue to become more prevalent in society today, through this speech I will provide insight on what they are, how someone can get one, and the short-term and long-term effects of them. I was in sports for about 13 years and I've seen my teammates get multiple concussions, and since then I've always been interested in them. I have done my research on the internet as well as watching videos on YouTube about them. First, I will discuss what a concussion actually is. Second, I will discuss how someone gets one. Finally, I will discuss the short-term and long-term effects of them. As concussions continue to become more prevalent in society today, through this speech I will provide insight on what they are, how someone gets one, and the short-term and long-term effects of them. Some people do not have a clear understanding of what a concussion actually is. So what are they, you ask? According to CDC.gov, a concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a hit to the body that causes the head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. They are very serious, they aren't life-threatening, and the effects are real. This is why it should be taken seriously. Everyone should also know the history of the concussion to get a better understanding of them. According to ProtectTheBrain.org, Dr. Bennett Omalu, MD, a forensic neuropathologist, first discovered physical evidence of concussions in CTE and activities other than boxing. MedlinePlus.gov states, to diagnose a concussion, your healthcare provider will do a physical exam and will ask about your injury. You will most likely have to get a neurological exam, which checks your vision, balance, coordination, and reflexes. Your healthcare provider may also evaluate your memory and thinking. Now that I've discussed what a concussion actually is, I will now discuss how someone gets one. It is possible for anyone and everyone to get a concussion, but sports is definitely one of the bigger ways someone can get a concussion, as there are a lot of contact sports. KidsHealth.org says that a sports concussion is caused by a fall or collision that makes the brain bang against the skull that can bruise the brain. It can happen by helmet-to-helmet tackles in football, getting checked against the boards in hockey, skating or biking wipeouts, and collisions between skateboarders and skiers. If you have a head injury, it is best to play it safe and sit out of your sport. Car accidents are another way someone can get a concussion. According to MayoClinic.org, sudden acceleration or deceleration of the head caused by events such as a car crash or being violently shaken can also cause brain injury. Headache, nausea, vomiting, blurry vision, dizziness, or seeing stars are only just a few symptoms that you may experience of a concussion after a car accident. See a doctor after 1 or 2 days if you are experiencing these symptoms still. Now that we know a little more about how someone can get one, I will discuss the short and long-term effects of a concussion. With all brain injuries, there are short and long-term effects, and the same goes with a concussion. Obviously, the short-term effects aren't as bad as the long ones, so the short-term effects aren't severe. According to healthcare.utah.edu, these can include headache, dizziness, ringing in ears, fatigue, sensitivity to light, and blurred vision, just to name a few. Head trauma is very common in young children, so short-term effects may be more difficult to recognize, as they might not be able to describe how they feel. So if that is the case, look for some of these symptoms: appearing dazed, tiring out easily, irritability, crankiness, excessive crying, and changes in eating or sleeping patterns. Long-term effects can be bad in some cases. long-term effects, and they can also be severe in some cases. They can include trouble concentrating, memory problems, irritability, and other personality changes and sleep disturbances. The long-term effects are rare though, but the more concussions you get, the more likely you are to suffer from the long-term effects. Today, I first discussed what a concussion actually is. Second, I discussed how someone gets one. And finally, I discussed the short-term and long-term effects of a concussion. As concussions continue to become more prevalent in society today, through this speech, I provided insight on what concussions are, how someone gets a concussion, and the short-term and long-term effects of the concussion. 1.6 to 3.8 million sports and recreation-related concussions occur each year in the U.S., and this is a lot of concussions that the doctors have to diagnose. And 10% of all contact sport athletes sustain concussions yearly. Thank you for listening.